Let's talk about what's happening on the wider scale. I will say this. It's interesting how many donors are flocking to Nikki Haley right now, including this big Democrat who it was the guy, I only knew this guy as the guy who was behind the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit against Trump.
That's right.
He funded that.
Yes.
He's a big Dem donor, and he's made tons of donations to Joe Biden and so on. So he just gave Nikki Haley, what was it, $250,000, Reid Hoffman, $250,000 to her super PAC, Reid Hoffman. Now, will anybody mention it? I mean, I get her saying, you want to donate money to me? Great.
Yeah.
Like, I want to win, and I'll take anybody's dough. I don't think any of them would have refused money. I don't know.
And it's your super PAC, so she can't really refuse it. It's a part of the shell game that we play with campaign finance laws in this country.
But Trump is already saying, while globalist special interest donors from both parties forge an unholy alliance to beat us, I'm calling on our grassroots donors like you to fight back in a fundraising email.
Click here to send $5.
Yeah.
I think if you're the concerted media freakout that we have seen around the death of democracy in the second Trump term is concerted. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but it's concerted because Biden is struggling so much and they're very alarmed. And that's why you see that Atlantic magazine cover. That's why you see
26 articles.
Right, you see all of this stuff. But it's not insincere, right? It's not a contrivance.
They're genuinely scared.
They're terrified of Donald Trump. And if you were rich, if I was rich, I wouldn't give any money to any, I want to make it clear, I would not give any money to a politician ever. But
that's because we're in the I want to puke party.
That's right, exactly. But if you're a rich dude or dudette and you have a lot of money, what's $250,000? And if you make life a little harder for Donald Trump and you throw it in there and maybe you can slow him down, maybe all Nikki Haley is a speed bump on Trump's drive. But if you can make it a little harder for Trump, then they're going to make it a little harder for Trump. If I am Ramaswamy, I am going to parrot Trump's attack. I'm going to come right at her.
She's a globalist. Yep, she took money from the Dem.
Exactly, the Democrat. She's funded by billionaires and Democrats and Democratic billionaires and the global elites and all that stuff. So the good news for Haley is this will not come as a surprise. It was a good news, bad news moment for her when the Koch network said, we're all in on Nikki Haley. We're endorsing Nikki Haley.
They've got more money than God.
Good news is they've got this amazing ground game. They can go knock on a million doors. They can run ads. They can do all that stuff. But then everywhere you go, people are going to say, dark money, the Koch brothers, how dare you? So the trade-offs are there. In Haley's case, it's worth it because she doesn't have the infrastructure because she was running a shoestring campaign.
That's the thing. I didn't realize she dropped her first ad last week. It was pretty benign.
Yeah.
That was her first ad.
Yeah.
Her first ad of the whole campaign.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's doing very well for somebody who hasn't launched any ads.
And the lesson here for Ron DeSantis, it's the Jeb Bush lesson, it's the Scott Walker lesson, it's the Rick Perry lesson. Big money doesn't help, right? Big money, when you get to a certain point, my line is always, in politics, there's two kinds of money, enough or not enough. And too much, right, when you have all this money, you get lazy, you get indulgent, you engage in infighting, you engage in strategic misadventure because you're thinking about all the wrong stuff. Ron DeSantis was going to build a 50-state campaign. It cost him $100 million to lose 11 points in the national polls, which is a lot. That's too much.
And to your point, like, he got hit in the press for riding on private jets everywhere. Then they say she flies commercial. Those little things, I don't know, they matter to voters, but that is a good way to blow through money really fast by not cutting corners and sort of being fiscally.
Indulge me in this, which is to say, being the other guy and having to scramble and scrape to work your way in makes you better at what you do. I remember that feeling at Fox a long time ago. I feel that feeling on News Nation, where it's like, okay, we can do this. We don't have the resources. We don't have the legacy status of these other places, but we can do it and we can build it. It builds camaraderie. It builds team. It makes people work harder and try harder. And Haley has benefited from that, whereas DeSantis was bloated and it was too much and too much legacy, and he didn't get tough and fight. So tonight, maybe he gets tough and fights.
Negative dings on credit reports happen to all sorts of people from all socioeconomic backgrounds. Understanding the credit landscape can be extremely tough, and spending the time to dispute and repair these so-called dings can be a full-time job. Good luck to you if you already have one of those and children or anything else going on. For starters, you have to deal with 3 separate credit bureaus. It's a massive headache. It's also a common misconception that people with poor credit scores are just those who don't pay their credit card bills. No, These can be very hardworking people who are negatively affected by divorce, identity theft, medical debt, student loans, what have you. And they just don't have time to fix it, or they're too overwhelmed by the process. But if you don't address negative credit items, they can haunt you for years to come, and when it counts the most, like getting a mortgage at a competitive rate. The good news is that our sponsor, Lexington Law, wants to help. Go to lexingtonlaw.com and start today with a free consultation and review. Tell them Megyn sent you at lexingtonlaw.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.